From so simple a beginning, endless forms, most beautiful and most wonderful, have been and continue to be evolved. Think about it. Endless forms. Are you thinking about it? Yeah, because evolution is the greatest creative lab in the universe. Duh. It's been doing R&D for eons. But what do I mean by creativity in evolution? Well, simple. When the universe has an aha moment, right? When it takes a system, a living system, from simpler to more complex, sometimes even from organism to superorganism. Like when nature invented sexual reproduction and DNA and eukaryote cells and multicellularity and animal complex societies and human language. So as an evolutionary biologist, I really enjoy thinking about the principles underlying creativity in nature. But thankfully, nature is always more creative than I, especially the nature of New York. So I came here, and this happened. Scientist walks into a bar. Yeah, it gets worse. Because, yes, really, believe me, it gets a lot worse. Yeah, because, I'm not paraphrasing Freud, a bar is not always a bar. The bar was a freaking improv class. So, yeah, and scientists look like that. Yeah, the horror. But for some reason, I'm quite fond of bad ideas. So I stayed, and I was started to be really amazed at the parallels between the lessons of improv and the lessons of evolution in the nature of creativity. So the first thing that you learn when you go to improv is to say, yes, and that means that if we're doing a scene, I agree with what you're telling me. So your idea and my idea, we bring it together and as our idea. So we've pushed the story forward together. So this has a very cool parallel with the evolutionary principle of connectivity, where you have two entities that were previously disconnected, and they come together to cooperate in a greater whole, where this could be cells or animals or human institutions. Now, the key thing for constructive connectivity is to be supple enough, to be flexible enough to co-adapt. What do I mean by co-adaptation? Is to the capacity to change with and through others, right? And this is crucial because it's only through interaction that novelty emerges. It's only in interaction that a story will come up that previously did not exist in anybody's minds, right? Second. Yeah, we're not going to talk about like exploring the boundaries, but anyway. Yeah. So, second, I learned to say, and this because. What do I mean? You add this bit to the story because it makes sense for that particular story. So say, for instance, we are doing a story on cowboys, God forbid. And then I wouldn't randomly come up with a scene where, you know, Harry Potter's wizardry type stuff. Because that is not cogent to that particular story, right? It doesn't make it work. So this is an important parallel in the principle of diversity. So in complex systems, you have things that come together, but those things are different. They have division of roles. Complexity has specialization, right? But that specialization makes sense. So if I'm a mitochondria, I produce energy for the cell. You are the cell membrane, and you're regulating stuff that comes in and out, right? Together, we are diversity within unity. We are an integrated whole, right? So my teacher said, you know, new stuff is very important, but don't do random crazy shit because that gets you killed and out of scene. I'm like, yeah, that's really like extinction. So it works. Well, it happens in biology too. Third principle, commit and invest. If you want a good scene, you really need to commit to it. Hell yeah. Commit to that character, to that emotion. Invest your risk, your energy. And that is, of course, risky and may seem paradoxical because, by definition, you're constraining yourself. But by doing so, at the same time, you're also opening a whole world of possibility that wasn't there before. In nature, we see the principle of energy. What do I mean by this? To build complexity is expensive. To build a system that is more complex takes more energy than to build a system that is simpler. But if you pay the price, the system acquires the potential to generate more resources in turn. So this has happened, for example, in the evolution of human brains, animal play, and even creative urban centers. So yeah, creativity is complex, and it might feel quite mysterious, elusive at times, but we see principles that are common and that are shared across nature. And this is rather cool, because from a scientist walking into an improv bar, or a mitochondria walking into a cell, right? If this is true, it suggests many things, amongst others. That if this is true, whether it's evolution doing improv or people doing improv, I think we can say that there's no such thing as individual creativity, i.e., all creativity is collective, simply because creativity is co-created. So like in improv, evolution builds on what was there before. Like in improv, evolution requires going forward into uncharted territory, together. George Orwell said rather wonderfully, being funny is subversive. Every joke is a tiny revolution. And with this, he warns us about the dangers of not leaving space for danger. Do we really want to sanitize all of our experience with trigger warnings? It's not very healthy for creativity, I would say, but perhaps worse is boring. So co-creation is risky, yeah, it's tough. But let it sink. Think that evolution, which is a pretty good economist, has a budget for the Department of Bad Ideas. It does work together with the Department of Editing, but together they have kept business going for billions of years. So, from cells to multicellularity to language, we, the human animal, are the process. We are the result of the process of evolution at play, which I think might be the greatest improv show of all time. Thank you.